Hello and welcome to the After Hours with Vstorm engineers. We are here to share real stories from real people that build AI. I want to introduce Kacper as an unofficial, or maybe official already, Chief of Open Source Officer. That's how we call Kacper in the office. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for the invite.
Today, we're going to speak about the importance of open source. And you can think, okay, open source, Agentic AI, what one has to do with the other. So let's explain it piece by piece, okay? But maybe a good starting point would be to explain what the frameworks really are in terms of building Agentic AI solutions, what those are.
So the way I think about the frameworks is that models like GPT or Claude from Anthropic is just a brain. It can reply to you, it can reason over your data, but it's not able to do some actions like send an email or search your database. So the frameworks here is a layer that connects your business to the model.
That's a good illustration. And those frameworks come in different forms. What are the frameworks you typically work with?
At Vstorm, we typically use Pydantic AI and LangChain or LangGraph in our projects.
And you're a contributor to them. Which one got most of your contribution? Is it Pydantic?
Yeah, it's Pydantic and Pydantic AI Harness. And we are contributing to these two repositories. So we are not only using them in the projects, but also we are trying to make them better.
So what is the most important contribution that you brought to the frameworks from your perspective?
The one that I'm most proud of is probably adding the support for real-time models in Pydantic AI. I found that this part is missing there, and I wanted to build real-time applications. So my first step was to contribute to Pydantic AI. I have more contributions, like adding guardrails for the agent to control what we pass to the model or what we return to the user. And the last one that I'm most proud of is adding a memory layer to Pydantic AI Harness.
You got inspired by how Claude Code uses some elements of the framework, and you kind of replicated that in some other way. And that's the beauty of the field, is that the inspiration comes from one place and it flows to as a contribution to another repository. That's how the field evolves. I just want to flag that because this is important to understand, is that when building Agentic AI workflows, we're actually building them on top of millions of those contributions as yours. Isn't that right?
Yeah, correct. And I think that's the most interesting thing in open source for me, that you can do whatever you want. You can create your own library or you can contribute to the existing one, and you can just create what you want. You don't need to go through the scope of work in your project and do what some client wants. You can just experiment. I think that's the most important thing in today's world, to try something and see if it works or not. We have many ideas and not enough hands to do everything.
It's usually the case, true. One of the contributions I really like is the one that we use the most on the project. That's the full stack AI template. And that contribution was inspired by the fact that you wanted to improve the pace of how we build the projects from the ground up. Can you walk us through this thinking of how you arrive at this solution and what it does?
Yeah, sure. I think it's easy to explain this project because during many implementations at Vstorm, we've noticed that many projects start in the same way. You need to add database, you need to add some login registry, you need to set up your vector database. So we've decided to create a template to start this project faster, because typically it took us 2 or 3 weeks without even writing any agentic work at this project. And after a while, we've decided to open source it so other people can also use it and build their own projects easier.
What was the community response to that?
We've managed to get around 2,000 stars on GitHub, which for me is really cool, and I'm really surprised because we thought that, okay, we can open source it, but we don't have enough space for marketing, and yeah, we will see.
And what about this second repository of yours that is linked with Vstorm account, that is Deep Agents? Tell us about that work.
Yeah, this one is probably more interesting for most of you. So imagine that you are talking to ChatGPT in your browser, and you can treat that like an assistant. You can message that assistant and get some response. So Pydantic Deep Agents is something different. It can take a very complex task you have and go through this task, make a plan, create some sub-agents to split the work between them, like in the real job, and finalize the task without issues.
You know what I like most about the response to the Deep Agents is that I've been on calls with new customers that came in and said, I look at the code, it's brilliant. I want to work with you because you guys provide quality. That's what I've heard on the call myself.
Yeah, I hear that from you, and I was also surprised. And I see even on other companies' blog posts, I see how they teach other people to use our libraries, which is kind of surprising for me.
We cannot maybe share too much how many customers are using it, but we've heard that PwC is using it somewhere. There are others as well, but so it spreads gradually.
Yeah, hope in the next few weeks we will be able to share some case studies from these companies. And also thanks to this project, we are the main partners of Pydantic in Europe, and we're also moving some parts of this Pydantic Deep Agents to their libraries so more people can use it in their production work.
Our collaboration with Pydantic, led by you, is giving us more exposure to our work because they embrace some of your contributions and they share it within the code that they offer to the customers and users, which is great. But as I mentioned in my example, this also proves the quality of the work. I mean, those contributions needs to be top-notch, right? They needs to be brilliant. And I think, hitting that mark, you show how you bring about credible, reliable solutions, and people admire that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. As a company, you can say that you are building great solutions, but you can't share your code because these solutions are for some clients, right? Mm-hmm. But here we have GitHub. The whole code is publicly available and everyone can read that. So you know what to expect from us in terms of building your project.
So you know what to expect. It's not a black box, so to speak.
Correct.
So let's speak a little bit about the difference between closed source and open source and how important it is to build your agentic infrastructure, or some call it agentic operating system, based on open source. How important that is from your perspective for the companies that start to rely on agentic AI in their daily work?
I think that each year more companies are integrating some AI tools, and most of the time they are choosing a different tool to record their meetings, different tool to take notes, right, different tool to generate an email. But at Vstorm we are thinking about one ecosystem. Think about this like an Apple, the company, where everything is in one place.
But the difference between Apple example and what we're trying to accomplish is that Apple is a very neat but still closed environment.
Correct. We want to build something that everyone can set up on their own machines. It can be your own VPS server or maybe your own Mac that you have in your office. So that's our goal, and currently we are the first testers of this solution, and we want to make it as good as possible and then release to other people. We want to keep some level of quality at our company with our solutions, and we think that it makes sense, especially in the world of coding agents where everyone can do something with the code. But after a few months, it's easy to verify if it makes sense or not.
I think it's a question of how long the game really is, and we work with companies that already use agentic AI in their workflows for more than a year now. In productive mode, they are really doubling down on agents and keeping them open source, able to modify, having the ability to improve them as they go. It's really crucial for them. So thank you for sharing this observation with us. I I think it's important to hear from real engineers that really create the code that so many companies are betting on. Thanks, Kacper.
Yeah, thank you.